All right. Good afternoon, everyone, or good morning or good evening, depending on where you're joining from. I'm Stefan Speckers. I'm co-founder of PIM.com, and I'll be your host for this awesome round of lightning demos and the roundtable discussion afterwards. We have three very inspiring and engaging speakers from three different organizations to showcase their vision and their tooling to you today, and we'll end up with a roundtable and Q&A. So if you have any questions on PIM and commerce, the topic for today, write them down, save them up, put them into the chat window. We'll be following the conversation. The first part of the session, the lighting demos, will be a bit less interactive, I'm afraid, but we'll pick up on those questions either immediately. I'll be monitoring the chat myself as well, or we'll weave them into the conversation during the roundtable session that we'll have afterwards. So feel free to drop your Q&A there as well. We'll be recording a session and sharing it. So if you join later or you have to leave for a quick call or whatever, don't worry, we've got you covered. And with that being said, I think there's no more housekeeping, and won't keep you guys waiting any longer and introduce you to our first speaker, Vikram. Vikram, you are the co-founder of Better Commerce. Good afternoon.
Correct, Stefan. Good afternoon.
And I'll give you the floor. Good luck.
Thank you. Thank you, Stefan. Hi, guys. My name is Vikram Saxena, and I have been writing code for the last 25 years. I founded Better Commerce about 6-7 years ago. And the idea was behind Better Commerce was to build a platform for mid-market businesses where businesses want to scale up without burning too much money and going to enterprise solutions, and basically get them enterprise solutions at their budget. And that was the whole idea behind building this thing. So let me just quickly share my screen and give you a quick view of what Better Commerce does, and then we can get to the solution. A quick demo as well. Just one sec. Yeah, so the typical problems that we decided to address were primarily around data stuck in silos, disjointed systems, as with small and medium-sized businesses, legacy and complex tech, and too many choices. Just looking at the MarTech diagram for last 10 years, it's just exploded in last 10 years, and then low budgets and struggling economy. So we built this solution, which is end-to-end solution, but at the same time, it provides all the packaged capabilities out of the box as composable modules. So you could utilize, one module and you could scale up the way you want and the way you want in your business. You can adopt one module at a time. You don't have to do the whole replatforming, whole change in your business in one shot. So you can address the problems that in your business, the more them up one by one, and then address them by picking up one module. So you could decide to choose one module, or you could go for the whole solution as well, depending upon the appetite, depending upon loads of factors. We do that whole thing. And if you look at it, this is a very broad level overview in terms of not broad, but a very detailed overview as to what all the platform does in terms of capabilities. It provides a PIM, e-com, storefront, CMS, order management, analytics, and an AI-based recommendation engine. All straight out of the box, works together with each other as well through these simple APIs, or it works with your third-party stack as well. So for example, our PIM would work with Shopify, with Magento, with Salesforce, and with SAP Hybris as well. And so does Storefront, which is an open source storefront on the GitHub as well. And then so does Headless CMS. Now, this is a very brief overview of the platform. So if I just come back to the PIM side of the picture, which is where we are going to talk mainly about. This is what our PIM does. If you look at it, the overall workflow, how that there is a data ingestion element where data could be coming from different areas, different partners, and then there's the whole workflow part, which manages your workflow in terms of collection, enrichment, governance, and all the distribution of that data as well, which is around the syndication part. The platform also provides a rich, digital asset management built into the platform itself, with managing your images, different files, manuals, specs, PDFs, all of that also sitting against the product the way you want it to be. Content, you could build a lot of content modeling. You could do a lot of content attributes set up within the platform and utilize that to enrich your product data and sell better and make your customer have much more informed decisions rather than just providing basic information, and manage all of this from within the system by yourself without relying on any dev team in-house or external whatever way. Then you have full governance capabilities also built into the platform, wherein you get complete audit trail, product completeness. So you can set up different completeness attributes where you can say, it will be complete for this particular channel if these properties are populated and not. And you can define different rules around that as well. And then, of course, you can do a lot of analytics as well, which is, around the content analytics, your product segmentation, buying report, all of that, depending upon how the integrations are done with your whole ERP or storefront or the ERP side of it. Syndication and distribution. Now, this product data becomes your central repository of all your product data, and then you can syndicate it across to your in-store kiosks, your point of sale systems, your marketplace channels, or whatever elements you want to. You could start, publishing this data through different channels and different channels overall. Now, enough of the deck. If we just quickly jump to the system overall, I hope you all can see the screen. This is, the default landing page of the PIM, which gives you a very basic overview of, where your product data stands, as in what's the product status, how many products are in draft, active, published, and all of that. It shows everything in there in one place. And you can see how things are spread across. So now if we just go to, and this will show my tasks. So the whole product life cycle is built into it. So if there are tasks assigned to me as a user, that this particular product needs updating at certain level, depending upon the roles and permissions, I will have my own task panel in there. And then if I just get into the product section, which we've got so the whole product data is available simply through very easy to navigate. You can browse the whole product data through different categories to different navigation parameters. You could build your product collections, all of that. And then you can, of course, get into any specific product as well. If you just go on to any product, let's just open up a product. There we go. And the amount of data that it maintains is quite significant. All the data sits in there in one single screen, images and videos, everything. You can have as many images as you want, maintain dimensions, maintain completeness for each channel, depending upon the channels that the data is being published and the data that you're working with. Attributes, these attributes can potentially be set up at a product family level, product category level, and then also inherited across through all the products within the particular category. And you can set all of these up directly within the channel section. If I just go to the custom attributes, and this is where I can set up all different attributes, different kind of attributes. So text field, drop down, whatever attributes I want to set up, image collections, HTML. I can set up different kind of attributes and then group them by attribute sets, and then apply those attribute sets against a specific categories or a specific product as well. So if I just go to this one, this will have a different attribute sets, different attributes in there. Or let me just open up the product that I had, default attribute sets. If I just go to the default attribute set, and in there, I have these attribute sets defined. Now, these are the attribute sets that I've defined: completeness, facet attributes, product detail, and product USP. So if I go to the product, all of this sits in here. And then what attributes are populated, it all shows up there. All this data is then maintained by the business themselves. And all this data is also available to be, managed through simple spreadsheets or online bulk upload as well. All that data gets maintained in there. And then if you look at it, one more thing that we've implemented is, for example, in here, then you can also define in the life cycle that this particular attribute section is to be populated only by content manager or super admin. So if you have different roles, you can set up different life cycles for the whole process. So if I just quickly go to tie that into this element, this is where, I can potentially set up a complete life cycle of the product. And I can define that at this particular stage, these are the sections, only this role is allowed to do that. And then what sections is this user allowed to update? So, and then these sections I can update, select, and that these roles are allowed to update these particular fields only. And once you do that, then people falling within that role are going to log in and only see those particular sections to which they have been given permission. So depending upon, when your product goes through a different life cycle for different categories, you will have a buying team, you will have a merchandising team, and you will have a content team. They will all have different data to populate at different stages of the product life cycle. So you can set that up at a category level and at a global level as well. And you can map that against the specific product families as well, where they're defined. Don't have any product families in there. So you can map that at a product family level in this is where, yeah. And you can set that up different stages. So for example, update the basic information, update your costing, set up pricing, update description, these different stages of the life cycle your product can go through, and you can define as many. And then of course, you can build when would this product be considered complete, when this information is updated in there. All of that elements go in there. And then you can define this life cycle to be used for which product family, if you've defined the product families in there as well. So if we just come back here at a product level, then of course, all this attribute data you can maintain at your end itself. Then we go to suppliers. So you have all your supplier data maintained along with the international HSN code, and you can maintain advanced costing and pricing as well, which will give you the cost of, landing cost of the products as well within the platform. So this helps you calculate and plan your inventory as well from that perspective, although that inventory planning will typically sit in your OMS or in your inventory management or your ERP, whatever you're using. Then similarly, this is also going to integrate with your ERP. So this PIM can have your central inventory, one single point, not at a store level or a warehouse level, but a single point for the stock, that this kind of stock is available for selling to the specific channels. Then if you've got variants, you can maintain variant data as well within the platform. And for different colors and sizes, depending upon what your business needs are, you can override data at a variant level as well. By default, it is all going to inherit the data from the master product, but all of this data is then available to be overridden at a variant level. So you can override and set that data up at a variant level as well. Then dynamic collections, depending upon what collections and rules have been set up. So these products will fall in that. And if this product is going to become part of a bundle, so your typical capabilities of your BOM, bill of material, component and kit, all of that can be managed from within the BOM itself. Bundles, sellability, and then if this product is available from the store, or you are making this available for pre-order, so then pre-order capability makes it available on the website through the APIs itself, and along with the max stock that you want to set up for the product, that for how much quantity you want to enable pre-order. Sellable quantity, sellable type, you can set all of that up. SEO data, you can override this, and there are of course global rules that you can set up for meta rules, and then those are overridden at a product level if you want to override them. If this product is allowed for gift wrapping, then you can set that up as well if this product needs to be gift wrapped. Then depending upon channels that are enabled for your business, and if this product is listed in a particular channel or not. If this product is listed in any channel, it's going to show up there. And additionally, if you are running multi-domain businesses, then you can enable the product for different domains the way you want it to be. Now, if I just quickly go to the channels, we have pre-built integrations for different marketplaces, different shopping carts. All of that is built in. So let's say you are running your store on Shopify or WooCommerce. So then all you need to do is just go in there, provide your details, and if you're going to use our PIM and OMS and which language, which price list are you going to be using. So you have capability of managing multiple price lists, and depending upon what multi-currencies if you're handling, all of that multiple currencies can also be handled within this itself. And if you're using PIM and OMS, if not OMS, of course, then you don't enable it. And then you can provide your Shopify store details, and that's it. The data integration starts working two ways. with Shopify and the storefront and the PIM data set, maintaining your suppliers data and maintaining all your brands data and building all of that up as well is all available within the platform itself. Category tree, which allows you to manage your whole category tree, depending upon what categories you have. So for example, these are the category trees, which are the featured brands, featured products, all of that shows up in there, depending upon what configurations you've set up. And of course, if I just come back here, you can browse through your product data through different sections, and you can make changes also right here. So if I just quickly select this, and I want different fields coming in, what is the launch date, what is the product code, barcode, all of that data. If I just want to fill that in, I can do that. And if I want to edit these products right here, I can do that as well. I can bulk update all of this data for selected products straight away, update any specific field. So if I want to do that, I want to change that category for these products hypothetically, or country of origin, I can just do that straight away right from here, one place. Similarly, if I want to change status for them, I can do that. Or if I want to change different fields, I can then select these products and I can select what fields I want to bulk update for them. So then I can just bulk update this data elements for them. Yeah. And so there is tons of changing status if I want to publish them, or if I want to add specific tags to them, add to collection, update a vendor, update a brand, or update HSN code, whatever I want to change, I can change right here. Then what channels have got what products published, it's going to show up. So Better Store is my default domain and the default website. It shows up the products that have been published on this particular channel. If any products are published on this channel, it's going to show those products up as well, and so on and so forth. So it just shows on. Then it will also show what products have been created. You can browse through the products based on that. And of course, accordingly, what products have been updated in last 1 day, last 7 days, or last 15 days as well. Alongside, it also shows you the whole audit log for the product changes, any changes that have happened in the product, any price changes that have happened, life cycle changes, if the product has, how often the product life cycle has changed. It all sits in there. We also provide the whole assets, the digital asset capability built into the platform, where you gives you whole file explorer kind of a view, where you have all the product images in there, and this capability to simply bulk update or a bulk upload the product images straightforward into the digital library as well. And the beautiful thing is that all of this is also delivered through a CDN, which means, all these images, you just have to upload one resolution high-res image of this, and using the query string parameters, you can just render depending upon mobile, web, mobile app, or wherever you want to render. You can just utilize that same image to reformat from the query string parameters itself. So the CDN and the PIM DAM does that all by itself from the system itself. Yeah. Additionally, you can also do the whole localization element, and this integrates with the third-party providers. If you have third-party localization providers integrated, then we integrate with them and provide. Otherwise, you can update the content depending upon what languages have been enabled. You can update the content for them directly for different languages for different products right here. I hope all of this is making sense and you find value in this. Then there's the brand landing. So you manage all your branding data as well. So all your brand data details are also managed depending upon, if you are a multi-brand business or a single brand business. This becomes very useful depending upon your business model overall. Import. And from a bulk import perspective, you can upload all kinds of data. Everything is available through the bulk import capability. Product, category, price list related, everything is available through the bulk upload capability itself. Then of course the price lists in there, so which you build one price list and then you can utilize that as a base to inherit from there and build different dynamic currency price lists, which basically syncs with the live exchange rate on a daily basis. So with one price base currency, you can actually manage multiple pricing as well. And of course, you can manage your taxonomy within the platform itself. You can build your whole category and manage the whole tree the way you want it to be. Sorry, Stephen is nudging me that my time is almost up from a demo perspective. I'm more than happy to answer any questions that you might have later on as well.
Hi, Vikram. You have 1 more minute, so if you want to close with one or two key features, that's fine. Sure, go ahead.
Okay. So price list is covered. Then we've also got a rule engine built in. So which rule engine is typically useful when the data is being ingested from your different ERP systems. So you can build all of those rules dynamically in here, and you can say that this is my rule. Let me just pick up another one. And where if the product name is not there, the API itself should return the validations for that. And if you are building systems and your applications on top of this will do all of those logical transformation for your data, raw data, before it gets into the PIM, and all those rules are processed accordingly. And you can continue to build as many rules as you want. And it's a simple syntax that can be utilized by anybody and built on by anybody as well. And we are working on building a more business user friendly UI for this. For now, we thought let's just build something in there to give it to at least power users, where they can build these rules and utilize and the advanced capabilities that we are already utilizing in the back end. I hope that makes sense.
It does, but it is a lot, and I think you try to cover a lot of ground in 20 minutes, Vikram. But what I will do is I'll move you to the background, and we'll have some questions that you can answer either directly on LinkedIn or during the roundtable, and we'll move on to the next speaker, if that's okay.
Thank you.
All right.
Thank you, Stephen. Thank you, guys.
All right. So that means we're already moving to our second speaker, which is Bart from Crystallize. Hi, Bart. Sorry to interrupt. One final sip before you go live. You're the CEO of Crystallize. You basically have the floor. So take it away.
Thank you. My name is Bart. I've been building software companies for the last 24 years or so. I'll show you if I can get my screen on here. I'll show you a little bit about what Crystallize is about, give you a taste of what you can do with it, and kind of our spin on it, because there's so many abbreviations in this industry. Our headline, as we say, we say that we are headless commerce for product storytellers. Now, there's two aspects of this, and I'll address both of them. One is the headless part, which is basically for us nerds, developers, but I'll explain a little bit more on that side. But what we wanted to solve is that traditionally you have PIM systems that are back-end feeding into a e-commerce service, and then you have a front end on top of that. What we wanted to do is to, as we say, the future of PIM is on the edge. So our storytelling engine is basically designed so that you can both market and sell your products, regardless of channel, of course, because it's headless, but also that you can experiment with different business models, so that we focus on physical, digital products, one-off, and subscription-based products. Now, I'll get back to what we mean about storytelling, but let's nerd out a little bit. We focus a lot on developer experience. And why should we care about that? Well, developers are building the modern storefront. So our APIs are distributed fast, always available, so to speak. And what we want with APIs is to build a foundation so that developers can go in and very, very easily access your data. And we call it real time. You see 3 to 5 milliseconds response time here on the API, which means that it's very easy for developers to build modern and fast storefronts. Because that's one of the goals, right? That you want to build a storefront on top of this, which is fast, both for SEO, for increased conversion. It uses less computing power, less CO2, etc. Of course, it also boosts you in search engines, and also actually pay less for ads. So if you're doing commercial today, you need to be fast. That's what I'm talking about with the headless side of things. Not going to talk too much about it, but we know that page speed actually affects conversion, and we've built a small calculator you can find on our website, page speed ROI calculator, where it compares the performance of a typical Crystallize implementation storefront, which of course is one example we have here, and you can put in another solution. And in this case, you can just say, how many sessions do we have? What's our average order? And this is potential increasing revenue. But okay, nerdy part done. Let's talk about what does it mean from a more business perspective? Because yes, it's headless. You have APIs that are fast and easy to use, but to build the full storefront on top of that is some work. So we have accelerators, basically open source accelerators, where we have taken a what we call a opinionated product universe. I'll explain a little bit more what that is. Basically, one way to configure and set up Crystallize, where you both have different types of products and marketing material, all managed directly from Crystallize, and is a good starting point to build out a storefront experience. Now, this is a starting point, and if we're talking about one of the things that are core to Crystallize is what we call the product universe. So the product universe is basically what is the structure of your products, and how do you want to market it? Because one thing is to have products with a fixed set of attributes, but let's take our Hello World example, which is for food. If you're selling tomatoes, basil, etc., ingredients, as we call it here, that's one type of product. You're probably also then selling appliances, which is a different type of structure, pots and pans and stand mixers, etc. I'm pretty sure that the marketing strategy would be around recipes, both for beautiful SEO, where you can have how to create spaghetti carbonara. These are all the ingredients. Social sharing, 5 healthy dishes for your week that you can share on social media, but also for merchandising, so that you can feature your San Marino tomato that just arrived, feature it in a beautiful dish, and enable people to have different types of product discovery, not just going through a taxonomy and finding the product. And if you're selling food, or if you're selling furniture or cars, this product universe will be very, very different. And this is the starting point for Crystallize. And just to make a couple of examples, here we have a client from Sweden that sells furniture in Sweden, Norway, and Germany, and they're doing a lot of visual storytelling. They do more of an Instagram kind of feel on their shopping. Yes, they have categories and you can navigate them, but in any case where you have a picture, you can see all of the products that are featured, and also the specific configuration. You can then go in and tweak it, so that you have a very specific product universe that fits for furniture. In this case, very different from what I showed with the example with food, right? And this is the point with the product universe, because we believe that you shouldn't shoehorn your products into a standardized structure. You should be able to freely build the structure that fits your business and enable the customer experience you want. Totally different example. Mercedes, if you're wanting to, buy a car, you want to have a car configurator. This is also an example of a very, very different type of product universe where you configuration of different prices, parts that fit, and whatnot. So that's what we mean with the product universe. And once this is defined, this is the UI in Crystallize. Once you have the product universe, you basically have an editorial interface that is easy to use. That's our focus. Where you have here this is a simple SMEG product. Comes in different variants. You have the product cards here. You have what we call the product story. So here you have defined which components, as we call it, are available to describe a product in this instance. And you can also work on this in different modes. We have what we call pretty view, and we have what I'm showing here, nerdy view, which allows you to work as in a spreadsheet. You can do cut and paste back and forth to your favorite spreadsheet, etc., if that is the way you operate. And you're also able to actually connect the front end here, because remember, this is headless. We're delivering an API. But you, as an editor, you probably would like to be able to visualize how this will look in any given channel. And this allows you to do, preview of how this will appear in a given channel instantly as an editor. So that gives you here an example of how you can create a printed catalog, for example, of this product with the price list. So this is one product universe in Crystallize. Let's take a look at a couple of others. Because if you're selling bikes, now it can look like a simple setup where you have 3-4 color variants, and you have the product story, which are all the components that are common for any bike product. And we see here, this is a product type, we call it shape bike. But you can also define very specific models for how products are structured. So I have the yellow variant with the yellow videos and images, but then I also have a variant story, different set of components that are relevant on a variant level. For example, which saddle configuration do I have here? And here I can actually reuse other products and build a taxonomy or a validated relation here that you can only have one saddle. Unless you want to make it configurable for the user, then you can have multiple. But it gives you this rich storytelling capabilities. And for example, you can have the specific coating that is used. And this again is then a rich type of object. It's we call it a document when you can't buy it, but it's a supporting piece of content. And here you have different sets of components to describe the color. The color code, if there's a tech sheet, health and safety, what have you, you can all have that very structured and reused across all of the similar types of products. Of course, specs are different for different variants, etc. Another example here, which we model at the Tesla car configurator, where you have Model 3, comes in 3 different models. You have something on top level, nice model, Model 3, full self-driving, autopilot, charging options, etc. But then on the actual model variant, so this is the rear-wheel drive configuration of the Model 3. Here you have, again, a different set of configuration where you have, top speed, range, things like this. You have paints, which varnishes are available, and maybe what's the usage to use for example, price calculation. So that white is included, solid black is $1,000, and red and blue are the most expensive. And you can do similar with, the wheels and the interior, and you build a very, very strong semantic description of your products. So this is the core building this product universe, which again, now I showed you 3. They're very different for different types of businesses. If you look at a little bit different capabilities in Crystallize. We can see, of course, you have control over specific validation of your product universe for the relevant channels, so that you can have that easily available. You have the history, the archives of all changes, who did what, etc. Of course, you also have the possibility of managing assets. And remember saying that Crystallize is on edge, which means that, of course, all of the images are available in the modern formats, distributed on a global CDN. You can add taxonomy both to any type of product or information, as well as to the assets themselves. You can do things like defining focal points, or see what topics, which is what we call our taxonomy engine. It's topic maps, where you have different assets with similar matching taxonomies, and then you can further go and drill down into, I don't know, red. Do I have any red here, for example? Yeah. So, and whenever you work with an image, wherever you find an image in Crystallize, you can always just hit that button. It is added to a lightbox, which means that I can actually now, if I want to, flip back to even another tenant in Crystallize and be able to reuse these images directly here if I want to. I'm not going to mess up this product. With the assets then natively organized in Crystallize using the topic maps, means that you also can automatically match products in a way similar to what you see on Sweep, where you have actually an asset, an image that you're viewing, but you have the semantic connection between which products are featured in this image, for example. So it's a reason to connect, asset management together with your product universe. And what we do with taxonomies, we call it topic maps, which allows you to have multi-dimensional classification of products or assets, or any information. Could be materials, for example, which allows you to basically describe your product in a very, very rich way. And this allows you to use this both for, you could use it as simple as labeling. It could be used for filtering, navigation, etc. So it's got all sorts of use cases. It means that you assign as much information as possible to the products. That's the goal there. You can work with any type of content in Crystallize also, which kind of is not normal if you're talking about PIM. Here we have a curated product story, where you have basically the backend to the first product I showed in the beginning, where you have a shoppable image, you have some merchandising of some products, and then you have an actual storytelling on top of this. What you can also do then is enhance the editorial experience. Since everything in Crystallize is fully API driven, everything is available via the API. We don't have a private API that is just for us. It's for every user. And here's an example of how you can use, for example, ChatGPT to do a translation for you, so that you can get the suggested translation of your content, basically. So things to automate and enhance the editorial experience. And if you have, 500,000 products, or if you have 10 products, you have different types of workflows that is important to you. So you can, with the custom views in Crystallize, you can easily extend that. Last part I'll mention, you can of course also lock down the capabilities here, so that you can create roles in an enterprise organization, where you can have different teams working on different types of languages, for example. You can have different locations, or you can even go in and say, okay, price variants, for example, that you're not able to edit the sales price. Actually, you're not able to view it. So that you can have different teams looking at different types of prices for different markets without messing up. So that's A very quick, fast run through of what we're thinking with the philosophy of Crystallize. It's basically a super fast cloud service with a beautiful editorial interface that allows you to define your product universe so that you can do next generation of shopping experiences that are fast and converts and look beautiful.
That's awesome, Bart. Super fast, like Crystallize, maybe. So fully in character.
One speed.
We'll see you back during the roundtable. Thanks a lot for that super quick overview. And I'm going to remove you quickly from the screen and get Harry in here. Hello, Harry. Hello. You're the final speaker. As with the previous ones, I would say the floor is yours, and take it away.
Great. Thanks, Stefan. Well, I'm glad that you guys all stayed along until the end of this session. So I have some time to introduce you to Dynamicweb if you haven't heard from us before. And I'll do a sneak peek in a demo. I won't do an extensive demo like my previous speakers have done. If that is a goal that we would like to achieve, then we can always set up an online meeting to go more into depth in our solution, and basically also look into how your situation is and how we could fulfill that. So, but before showing you a sneak peek, I'll share my screen so I can show you what I want to talk to you about today. For anybody that doesn't know me, my name is Harry van Rossum. I've been with Dynamicweb for the last 5 years, and I'm responsible for the Benelux area. So I'm sales and marketing responsible for this region, and I'm invited by Stefan to share some thoughts on PIM and what we do and commerce. So Dynamicweb, you see here an image of a picture of our team in Aarhus, the second largest city of Denmark. That's the location where our head office is, where we do our product development, where we do support, consultancy activities. So today I would want to show you a bit more on who we are, what we deliver, and actually also when we get contacted, because I think that is basically where it starts when we reach a communication with the prospects and customers and partners to deliver our software. So history, we have been in we've been in business since '99. Like I said, we are located in the largest or second largest city in Denmark, Aarhus, and all the spots that you see on this map are in the different countries. So we are in the US, we are in Asian Pacific, Australia, we are in Europe in different locations, varying from Portugal, UK, the Nordics, DACH region, and the Benelux. We service for about 4,000 brands globally, and we do primarily business through our partners. So we have a very educated, trained, certified channel to do the implementations of our software. There are certain cases that we do the implementation ourselves. That depends on the version that is being asked or the situation at the customer. But normally we are a partner-centric organization. So what we focus on in this world is that we are primarily in the B2B area. So we look into manufacturing and wholesalers that have an ERP system either out of Microsoft or Visma or Uniconta, because we have standard connectors with those. We also have an integration platform to service other ERP systems. And our goal is to simplify e-commerce. So we deliver a composable e-commerce suite, which consists of content management, email marketing, product information management, and e-commerce. And with simplifying that is taking out the different integrations with all kinds of different solutions. And that way our customers have a a less heartache, a headache on IT or on the architectural demands. Because if you look at most solutions, if you look at PIM, everybody has workflow management, data quality, export and import of product data. Same with e-commerce. Our competitors are, doing order management, vouchers, loyalty points, discounting. So functionality-wise, the world that we are working in is very mature. But not all customers are that mature or are not that savvy that they want to go for a best-of-breed solution. So we would like to deliver a solution that simplifies their architecture. And customers that are making use of our software, you see those here in this screen. So there's a wide variety of customers, and primarily these are located in the Benelux or in the Nordics. But this is the sort of customers that we're looking at that are using Dynamicweb, and that we are very proud of course, too. So going into what we deliver from a composable e-commerce suite, as we call it. In the heart, like I said already, we deliver a rich CMS with all the functionality that you would expect in a market-leading solution. So personalization, what you see is what you get, visual editor experience, drag and drop. You can do all kinds of things, publication, versioning, auditing on your content management. On the marketing end, we do email marketing, marketing campaigns, functionality with all the whistles and bells that you would expect in a marketing automation marketing tool. So testing, A/B testing, MV testing, all that functionality is in there too. But on top of that, what we do is, because we have all the data of customers in one platform, we can very granularly do a search on activities that somebody has done, or a product that they've bought or shown, or put a very personalized email campaign on those customers. So to give you an example that we always tend to use in our demos is, and like every software vendor, we also sell bikes in our demos, is that, a customer bought a mountain bike but didn't buy a helmet, for instance. So what you can then do is basically set up a campaign with a search, a smart search, and that smart search says, okay, give me all the customers continuously when they've bought a mountain bike but didn't buy a helmet. And if they fulfill those requirements, that search, we will automatically send them an email with fitting helmets to that bike, color-wise or branding-wise or whatever you want to do. That is something you just set up once, and then it continues to run in the background. So again, simplifying based on the data that we have, we deliver possibilities for you that you don't have to think about anymore. And then the two other main topics within our platform are, of course, e-commerce, with all the functionality from order management, vouchers, RMA in there too. And at the heart of our solution is PIM. Every company, you start off with getting grips of your product information, and being able to do that is the big step in an omni-channel approach. So these are the heart, the heart of the solution. And then on the back end, we have an integration platform. We have standard connectors. We have a management API. So basically, anything that you can do inside, you can also deliver headless on the back end. So you can build your own interface on top of the functionality. And then on the front end, we are able to deliver three kinds of publication parts. So we have a set of publication templates called Swift, which we use, which a lot of our customers are also using, and what I will show you a bit in the demo. Then there is the solution called Core, especially for internet agents that have their own templating structure to do the publication, and of course headless. So we also deliver headless, even though that sometimes customers are looking for headless, when we talk to them more into depth, it is not so necessary. However, headless is in the market, so we also embrace that within the platform. So if we start off, when do we get into contact with our customers? And like I said, that's most of the time out of a PIM demand. And there's customers that come to us because of regulatory reasons. So we have wholesalers that are in the world of, or in the business of toys, and they import toys out of Asia. And there's European regulatory rules that you need to register. What are you doing with your batteries? What is the product built of or developed out of? What kind of plastics are being used? So that is based out of EU reasons, rules that you need to maintain product data. But a lot of customers also come to us, or that we talk to, is they're upgrading or going into a new ERP system. And it is not so much that companies have never worked with product data, because they have. However, most customers are using an ERP to store product data. Marketing is using Dropboxes to store data. Then we have tons of Excel sheets as customers. So there's not a one single source of truth on the product data. So that is the reason when they start using an ERP, a new ERP, they say, well, we need to do something else with our product information management. Then we have customers that want to run multiple web shops out of one platform, both B2B, B2C, different design, but same products. So white labeling, all those features can be done with out of one product, one platform into multiple web shops. Things like spare part portals, product selectors, but also print. Still, an important thing in the B2B market is catalogs. Catalogs, flyers, data sheets. So we deliver modules like publications or integrate with Adobe InDesign to be able to give you a catalog that actually is always up to date. And then Insights. Insights is a module-based analytics in the sense that we can show on product level what is happening, where you're using it, in which channels. So you get a 360 on not only on your orders and your customers, but also on your products. So this is a short intro on who we are. And as I only had 20 minutes, and that's good because I have a couple more minutes left, I would like to give you a small peek in our just released Dynamicweb 10. I just got a brand new demo this morning. This is the backend, all the data in it, so I can't go through all kinds of business stories or nice sweet stories and show you all the highlights, but we are most happy to do that at a later stage, so definitely reach out to me. And then this is basically if you log in into the backend. So this is build a web shop based on Swift, the data structure, and we can basically do things that we can show you content, we can build experience pages, product detail pages, we can select products based on facets or attributes that are registered in the PIM solution. So that is all on the front end. If we look at the back end, and I'm logged in as a system administrator at the moment, so I can basically show everything. Are the different modules. And modules give you marketing insights, what is going on. If I go to content, I can basically use this and easily, as you can see, hover over a page and add things. So there's a library of all kinds of a library of modules you want to use, and you can add those to your page. Very easy, and then you can publish it, or you can validate it, have it published later at a later moment. So that's all possible. Fortunately, the kids are at home, and just me. So here you see you can get those images right in there. But also on digital assets, basically you're using images, PDFs, files that you want to connect to products, or you want to use in your CMS and on the website, you can store in here. A extensive user part where you can store your customers, to give access to or get access to their customer portal are stored here. The PIM part, which we basically have now called products. We've introduced that. There's PIM dashboard. This is all kinds of widgets together to store and to show what is going on. And based on your rules, on your profile, you can show the slide or the dashboard the way you want it to show, and to only show the products that you're actually involved in. So I can make all kinds of favorite lists. I can show the different products and go into that. All kinds of data models, and I can use those.
Harry, I'm afraid we lost your audio. Can you hear me, Harry? I can't hear you. So we lost your audio somewhere in the past 10 seconds. Just keep talking and I'll let you know when you're back. I'm afraid Harry can't hear me as well. Let's see. If we can fix that. In the meantime, yeah, let me remove Harry from the stream, and let's head on over to the roundtable part while I reach out to Harry. And yeah, this always happens, of course. Harry, can you hear me? You can't, right? No, we also can't hear you. I'm not sure if you can rejoin. Yeah, he's going to re-log in. Great technology. Yes, Tim, you're right. That's how it works. It works until it doesn't, and then obviously it breaks right in the middle of your demo. What I would like to propose is, hold on here. It's Harry again. Harry, can you now hear me? But I still can't hear you. I'm sorry. And it broke right in the middle of your demo, so I'm not sure what you changed or. No. I'm gonna give you a few seconds. But it'll allow you to create a new. Re-log in or use a different mic. Okay. What I'd love to do is move on over to the roundtable part of the event. So I'm gonna add Vikram and add Board again. Hi Vikram. Hi Board.
Hey.
This is how these things go, I would say. I will keep adding Harry as soon as he rejoins, and we can have this tech check-in every time. But in the meantime, I would like to start with the roundtable discussion. So we all have our sort of background in commerce, in technology, in PIM. We've seen a lot of suites today, right? But back in the day, at least, well, I can't say that when I was young, because when I started it was just 15 years ago. Let's see, Harry, can we hear you?
That depends.
Yes, we can. All right.
Good. I'm back.
You're back. We are moving to the roundtable part. So what I was saying is back in the day, it used to be very simple, right? So you have maybe one big solution, your ERP to rule everything, maybe some spreadsheets, Excel, CSV files to fill in the gaps or to do the communication. Somewhere in the last 25 years, we decided to add e-commerce. We now have, in the last 10, 15 years, a lot of PIM solutions coming up. Now we have iPaaS solutions to stitch everything back together again. Why do we need all these dedicated solutions? And why now? Vikram, maybe can you take it away?
Yeah, of course. So if you look at it, the way I think is, Stephen, the overall market has evolved at a very, very rapid pace, and especially in last 10 to 15 years. I would say primarily in the last 10 years, actually. Before that, it was like you said, it was all ruled by the giant ERPs. Now, entrepreneurship and the startup ecosystem, came into being. Of course, the startups have always been there, but the startups ecosystem in last 15 years has just blown up completely, and that has led to small scale businesses looking for modern technology and modern systems to serve the needs of their businesses. A lot of D2C brands have come up. Shopify has grown phenomenally, way beyond anybody would have thought. And today, if you look at it, it is the biggest competitor for Amazon in a different way, in a different format. And that typically now every small business, every startup needs to reach out to their customers. How do they do that? Of course, the channel is digital, and they need some tools to get them up and running really quick. They can't really wait for the giants like big ERPs, SAP, which takes 24 months or 36 months to understand and deploy and all of that, and then complicated legacy enterprise systems that were there. That, I believe, has led to this evolution of technology, which changes really fast, where you can try fast, build fast, and fail fast, and then again innovate fast. And this is where it has led to further componentization of every piece in the technology. I mean, not just Shopify, the whole ecosystem in there, the even a smaller app to tag your products, they have exploded in a lot of different ways. Of course, everybody has their own way and perspective of looking at things. So that has led to, and now that complete fragmentation of even the smallest piece becoming a separate app has led to now there is an app for everything. You have a phone and there is an app for everything in there, and there's an app for everything. That has further led to today where we are. Having 50 apps has become a nightmare in a lot of ways. You want certain capabilities literally out of the box. You don't want, you are building a product like Bart says, product universe. You want primarily everything around the product to be part of that solution. You shouldn't have to, for product name, product imaging, for product tagging, you shouldn't have to go out and buy 10 other plugins. And this, I believe, has led to this where we are now, where there's a little bit of consolidation, and there are these two different thoughts. Somebody wants best of breed, and best of breed, I think, is a word which is highly overused and misused as well. So, best of breed in theory may not necessarily be best of breed. Context is very important, which I think a lot of times people tend to miss. Does that really fit their business? Does that really fit their technical appetite to manage that level of integration complexities and all of that? Or do they want certain compressed capabilities from one element and then look up at a different element to serve that need? Does that make sense?
I mean, it does. But it does mean that there's still more complexity, right? So, I mean, as you said, there's an app for everything. How then do you navigate that space? How do you find the balance? Do you have an opinion?
So the balance, I think, has to be driven by the business need and the context of the business. What kind of business you are, what kind of budget do you have, what kind of appetite do you have, and knowledge do you have. A mid-market business trying to go what works for some other business may not necessarily work for your business. And this is where a lot of times people tend to just follow the buzzwords, the hype, and then they invest a lot of time and money, and then they burn their fingers. And by that time, it's already too late, and then they're overcautious in doing anything.
Yeah, I agree with you on that one. I've had talks with customers that were saying, I need headless. And then I would ask them, I still do, okay, but why? Because that's happening in our sector. We need headless. Okay, so then tell me what your ROI or your business case for the headless solution is. And then there's no answer. There's too many people going after the flock. There's one sheep gone, and then they all follow. You need to really look into, is it necessary to go into a wide set of solutions, smaller ones, microservices, or am I much better off with something that comes out of the box and anything in between? I'm not saying that one is bad and the other one is good or whatever, but it's you need to, as an organization or as a company, you need to think that through.
Yeah. I mean, we all need headless because headless is the rage. But Bart, how do you think about this being headless from the ground up, basically?
So it depends on the perspective. I think if you're building a solution today, you have to be API driven. We're living in an API economy. Everything needs to be driven by APIs. That doesn't mean that the customer knows that the solution is built on a headless solution because they want maybe a web shop that is able to sell their products. But from an engineering and technical aspect, everything needs to be available via a global API today. I think that's at least how we see the world. Yeah, but then on the composable part, which is a different question, because headless is, do you have access and can you manipulate your data? That's what it means via an API programmatically, without contacting the vendor to do something specific. But on the composable side, I think there has been. I usually say there's such a thing as too composable, where you have too many services that needs to be integrated. Simple example is if you're managing, like I showed the furniture site there, you can manage that with a CMS and a PIM and a DAM solution. They actually bought that first and that didn't work. But if you take the perspective of who's the editorial user, it's the marketing team, maybe a handful of people that are then managing these products. Do they have to log into different systems to manage? I mean, you make their workflow harder and you add a cost because you have to integrate those services. Now, that doesn't mean that you shouldn't have a composable architecture. It's just what domains are composed, right? For example, take payment services. Simple example, everybody needs a payment service. That doesn't mean that this has to live within the e-commerce solution, because there's hundreds of, if not thousands of different payment services. Or if you're going into, let's say search or recommendations or personalization or these types of services, makes a lot of sense to have those as different domains, because it's probably different people. If you work on your product and marketing versus if you're working on the, let's call it newsletters to be simple, but multi-channel engagement and clubs and these sort of things. So I'm kind of headless. Yes, you need to be API driven, no question. Composable. Do you make sure that you don't have too many systems to do one thing? So, and this is the mindset we have with Crystallize. We do two things. We manage your product universe, call it PIM, CMS, DAM, or whatever. It's one engine. And then we capture and orchestrate order. Then you build whatever you want in the front. So you can use, the modern front ends that are, well, literally every week there's a new front end framework that people want to use. And when you have a headless architecture, you can do that. So it's future-proofing your backend, basically, because you can do Astro, Svelte, or Next.js, or whatever you want in the front end. So I think those are two perspectives on the...
I think that also depends on the customer, on the organization that you're in. I can understand that a fashion store is much more changing their front end and design, etc. That comes into play. But if I go into a B2B wholesaler of food, they don't need headless. They just need an order portal, a customer portal, to show things like product data, data features, things like that. They are not into the marketing savviness in that sense. So it depends. If I had a customer that sold a wholesaler and that sold cutlery and silverware for hotels, and the marketing person told me, I want headless. Sorry, you're just selling. You're trying to sell to your existing customers. You're just an order portal. Total waste of time, total waste of budget to go into a headless situation.
Well, now you're assuming that headless is more expensive and more work. That is not necessarily the case.
That's
I think one thing more I there is, of course, I know, I've worked in the B2B space since 2004, 2005, and we've built very large enterprise systems. And to be honest, all the systems that we used to build, and starting from 2008, 2009, everything was API driven. I mean, headless as a word came into being probably just a few years ago, but API driven development has been there for a very long time. And whatever we've done, we've always done through the API driven. And those APIs that I designed back in 2009 are still being used for retailers like PC World and the likes of those, and at that scale as well. PC World in the UK, Carrefour in the Netherlands, and so many other giant retailers, they are using that whole system that we designed back then. So API is forgiven, everything should be designed with an API first approach and a mindset. From a B2B perspective, it is about order pad, of course, but I think gradually there has to be certain level of good usability on the B2B space as well. I think the traditional way, and if there are order requirements are dynamically changing, if you don't change, that customer is potentially going to go to somebody else who offers a much better experience of placing the order, accessing their invoices, being able to pay their invoices online, and being able to settle their credit online. And all of that, if driven and properly through the API architecture, is going to offer a better customer experience in the B2B space as well. And gradually that will change as well. Of course, today, all of this works, and it is not necessarily headless is I think headless is a great buzzword. The word should be, the substance behind it is all API first, and everything should be API driven.
I mean,
that's
sure,
what I think.
Right? And I think we all agree on that, but there's having so many microservices and having so many APIs to manage, having so many different components to manage is overhead, right? So, and I think in a way, Harry says managing all that overhead is costly. I think, Ort, you are saying, no, maybe it's cheaper, or maybe it's not as costly or complex as I think, maybe. Is it as complex as I think? Do we all need iPaaS solutions or middleware to manage all the different API endpoints and all the different services?
Not necessarily. And of course, to agree on there are clients that don't need, or the reasons for choosing headless is not necessarily a business requirement, but it is a modern way of organizing the architecture. But if you have too many solutions that are being put into the architecture, then you spend a lot of the budget on integrations, right? And these integrations needs to be maintained. So that is where I think the cost or the risk could be there, because with Crystallize you can spin up a B2B portal in 30 seconds, have a storefront order and place, because you have accelerators. But if you have and this I think is the hard part for clients today. There's so many different solutions that solve one part of the ecosystem, which is good if that is what you need, so to speak. But it can really bloat the project in terms of technical implementation time and architectural
Absolutely.
headache. So I think there's a balance there. And again, this is built for the right persona, solving their business needs. But I strongly feel that a suite kind of, which is what you started with, like one that solves everything. I don't think you will get the best of each aspect at that point. Right? You can't necessarily be best on warehouse management and product information, which are very different domains.
I totally agree with you on that. And we're not saying, for instance, we deliver a suite, even though it's composable, so you don't have to take all the parts. And we are definitely not saying that we are the best on every part. But if we look at customers, then sometimes a customer is well serviced with the functionality that he gets from us. And if they want to go for the top-notch, best solution, they will get a price tag on it. It is that, it's a choice that you need to make as an organization. So that's, and I've seen so many solutions that have been implemented over the last 20 years that I'm in the online business that were sold because of the great features that the fact sheet showed, and then you see it live, and then I'm like, did you get those features actually working? No. And that's too bad. That's so, that's burning money in that sense, which is good for the software vendor because, the salesperson got that target, but the customer in the end basically bought something that he shouldn't have bought.
I mean, can we pinpoint that, right? Can we say, these conversations are all around like, it depends, right? So it depends if you need a suite. It depends whether you need maybe headless components. It depends on which industry you're in. Can we compartmentalize some of those, or can we give examples of some of those that work well? And maybe.
But I think that is the role that, Stefan, I think that is the role that consultancy companies like yourselves should embrace and sit on the side of or challenge the customer, because software vendors will always tell them, this is best for you. You shouldn't go with headless, or you shouldn't go with microservices. Get a suite, or do this, or go for open source, or PHP, or .NET, or on-prem, or in the cloud, or whatever. And the customer look at, Vikram started off with the marketing the marketing slide that every year becomes bigger, and you need better glasses in order to actually see all the brands on it. I need a microscope by now to actually being able to see what's on that thing. And that is, I think, the role that a customer needs to be supported by consultants to make the right decisions.
Yeah, I mean that's great for us, right? For the middleman in this sense, but it does feel a bit awkward in that sense that we have created a solution space where it depends, and getting the right solution. Are there some hard and fast rules, maybe, Vikram? Are there some hard and fast rules that we can set that say, okay, then you need a suite, then you need a headless, then can you?
I think, to be honest, Stefan, there is no magic bullet, or there's no magic formula, what is right for me. And there is always going to be the question of the context. Of course, if somebody sits down and lists down, if your business does this, then potentially these are the right options for you. And if your business falls into this category, this industry, this scale, this size, and these kind of people, this is your digital appetite, then you can potentially, these are the right kind of solutions. Potentially, if somebody sits down with a focused mind, that is possible to achieve to some extent. But will that be 100% bulletproof? No, it won't be. right? And because there will still be edge cases in there as well. But it is possible. But there, as of today, I have not come across a single magic bullet or a guide, which tells you, no, if this, then this level of, and what level of microservices are you going to go for? What level? Because microservices is another buzzword, which is just, I think it just like he said, it bloats up your project. The more microservices, the more composable apps, the more apps, it's just like your phone. How many apps are enough for your phone? How many apps do you actually use on a daily basis, right? It's exactly the same ecosystem, same element has been replicated in the business world as well. What came to our digital hand space, mobile, it's the same thing that's replicated in the business world as well. And what now, if I tell you, if you are an IT professional, you should only download these apps. You say, what crap, I need this app because I use this once in 6 months. Probably you may not even open it up, right? So it is almost like that. And depending upon those business scenarios, of course, certain guideline can be put out, but will that be still definitive? It can't be. Nothing can be definitive about it, because it will all be driven by the business owner, the scale, the size, the person who's driving it. And there are different motivations for different projects, to be honest. I've seen beyond the benefiting the organization, there are projects which are driven by, because there is a budget, they have to do something, they have to show it to the investor that they're innovating. That is the motivation behind bringing a new technology. They don't want the technology what's right for the business, but they want to bring the new buzzword because investor is pressurizing them for doing that.
Yeah, we've seen that before. Yeah, I mean, it's even worse.
Exactly.
Adding or replatforming, because using the other platform adds value to your company value instead of adding value to your business processes. So suddenly you're stuck with,
absolutely,
can't mention the names maybe, but with some big enterprise solution that you're really not, you don't want to use.
Exactly. Yeah. I know a business, they were running on a very large scale enterprise e-com platform. Their CTO changed, and the CTO brought in another enterprise e-com platform, 2 years implementation project. And after 5 years, they had already spent tons of money on it, and they were still having similar kind of problems.
But they were worth more because they were using the other solution.
Exactly.
Ready for scale. Okay. Maybe I want to take a quick look at the future of headless, right? So as Paul said in the comments on LinkedIn, like and I think Vikram, you already said as well, and we all know, like 10 years ago, microservices and API first was already all the rage, right? So it's just like 2 or 3 years ago we started calling it headless, and that was a fun way to call it. And now everyone calls it headless or API driven or microservices. So it's like adding a new. Oh, marketing, exactly. Marketing just came around the corner. No, that's good. And they call it headless. What is the future? Is this going to continue the compartmentalization? Are we going to see more suites, bring them together? Will we have more plugin marketplaces? How does this look in the future? Bart, do you have a vision on that?
Yeah, I think history will repeat itself. It will go back and forth between the fragmenting and then consolidating and back and forth. That's what we've seen, at least since I've been in the industry. So definitely, I don't think APIs are not going away, and you will see specialized solutions that are growing their scope, starting with maybe an A/B testing solution if we. And then it grows into a full suite of e-commerce and content management. So I think you will still see what has been going on, and I think that's kind of the only thing that is for sure is that this will go in cycles, right? And also so long as the technology is decent. It's more about the execution and the team, and that's where you can have the right team running a Shopify store brilliantly, You can have a wrong team doing it the other way around, and same having the right team building a headless microservices architecture that just flies and everything is perfect. And then you have lots of products with a different setup that have tanked, right? So I think we will continue to have both types of solutions. And also, if you look at it, what's kind of if you look at microservices, okay, different solutions integrated. And then you look at Shopify, brilliant for many, many cases. And then you have their plugin ecosystem, right? So then you suddenly kind of have that composable or microservices already integrated there, which is good. You can get quickly up and running, but you kind of have the same thing because you have the connection between all those different plugins, like you see also with like Magento, gazillion of plugins, perfect for pre-sales. You can say, yeah, we have a plugin for that, or there's a module for that, or whatever the term is, and then it does 70% of what you wanted and maintained by some random company maybe. So there's a risk in even if there's a suite with the controlled ecosystem, or if you call it composable or microservices. So I definitely think that we will continue to see this back and forth, vendors growing, bloating their products, and going into more and more spaces, either via organic growth or acquisitions. That's what we've seen.
Harry, do you have a vision on that future?
No, I think that maybe we'll go back to the mainframe period again. No, but
well, we kind of have cloud services. That's mainframes.
Yeah. No, but I think you're right. I think that the entrepreneurship within the sector brings in new solutions, and the bigger ones will pick them up. They will take the ideas. They will either develop that themselves or do a buy and build strategy on top of that. So there's that ecosystem is basically keeping itself alive. If you ask me, okay, how does the roadmap look like in e-commerce land or country for the next 10 years? I have not the faintest idea.
Okay. Can't place bets on that, Harry. That's
No.
okay. Okay, Vikram, do you have an idea? Where do you see it going?
I think what will happen is, today, if you look at it, the way evolution of technology is happening, I think in few years' time, whatever platforms we offer, they will be, instead of being called a platform, they will be called product as a service or e-commerce as a service. Like today, technology companies, we use databases as a service. In the past, let's say 5 years flashback, and we used to have MongoDB, we had to set up everything. And today we just don't care about the infrastructure at all. Infrastructure was a big thing. Now infrastructure has become almost completely democratized. It's all abstracted. We don't care about it anymore. Today people are caring about this element, but I think in a few years' time, it will all again become an extremely democratized space, and it will all become just a service. It won't be so specialized as it is potentially today, because the level of knowledge of the people who we are targeting is going to change. It's going to uplift. There's going to be a skill up there, and there's going to be a lot of evolution over there as well. So I think this will change. APIs, I don't think are going anywhere. They are here to stay. Level in terms of how much is enough is very difficult to answer, and it depends. So consolidation will always be there. Fragmentation, consolidation. I think that's every business is different, independent choice, and they both will coexist in different spaces with certain percentages of adoption changing here and there. That's what I think.
Yeah. Okay.
Actually, I think that one of the main topics that we have now is security. Security on data, personal data, that stuff. That is I think hackers, your payment information out on the street, whatever. That is, I think that's one of the major topics at the moment that software vendors need to embrace and make sure that if it's an API or MAG solution or a suite solution, that it is secure, that it is full bulletproof in that sense. data centers. I think we're discussing more. How fast our internet connection is, because that's we need to get it out of. It's like water.
Yeah.
Open a tap, and you have IT, you have internet, you have.
Yeah. Tim on LinkedIn is saying scalability is huge as well. I think I agree. Yeah. Maybe I also want to the positive future in where all that API madness is managed away by artificial intelligence, by AI. I already mentioned it. But before we do that, I want to quickly touch on Marcos, his question on YouTube, where basically he's discussing or asking how to map output data. So when we're looking at PIM, you onboard data, you enrich data, you publish data, so that output of data. How do you specify that and how to best specify that to your output channels? So your downstream channels could be internal, could be external, and whether it is advisable to bring business logic to the PIM or to the client. So that could be the website or the customer or the feed. What are your thoughts? Bring it into the PIM or keep it out?
Well, basically, our experience is that we have it in the PIM. Mm-hmm. So if you want to export your data, you set up a feed, a template, where you can basically decide, which attributes that need to go somewhere. Is the attribute name does that need to be changed in a different name, because that's easy for the recipient to onboard the data. That functionality is standard within PIM, and I think that mostly all PIMs have that already in there. That also, with onboarding data, with importing, you basically do the same thing. All suppliers come up with different formats of data in different Excel sheets, in different attribute names, and you need to do that mapping, set that mapping up to make sure that you are, easily onboarding new product data.
Okay.
So yes, that functionality is within PIM.
Into PIM, Vikram or Bart? Yeah.
Yeah, I would completely agree with that. And see, typically, if you look at it, different channels would have their own feed format and what they would expect. And of course, you can do all of that. I mean, while integrating with the marketplaces, we also found that every channel will also have their different attribute options and attribute values as well. For example, one channel calls color red as just bright red, and you call it red in your business. Now, that level of mapping also has to be maintained. And of course, you can do it on the client side or a website, but the ideal way of centralizing all that information would be making all that ETL logic and building that additional rules within the PIM itself, so that it's all sitting in one place, and then you can leverage that through the API, so that it's exposed to you and whichever format you want it to be going out as a feed, or you want your suppliers or marketplaces to pull from you. Either ways, you can just deliver it from PIM without investing a lot of time and energy into your engineering effort.
Yeah.
Of building and designing a solution and then eventually maintaining it, because PIM company is bound to eventually going to build more capabilities on top of it, is rather than you maintaining it on a long-term basis.
Bart, how do you see this? Yeah.
No, I think the brilliant answer of it depends, but I'm thinking it depends on the complexity. It depends on the complexity, I would say, because for some feeds and some channels, of course, you just want it to work and have it in directly the content quality rules in the PIM, and you have a export mapping to a CSV file or whatever the format is, standard stuff. But it is also true that sometimes having a UI to configure rules is fine, but maybe it's easier for a developer to make those rules in TypeScript or having a validating programming language. So And of course, that does depend on the business rules. What are the requirements? Is it this field maps to this, or is it more advanced logic? If the mapping or the transformation for the channel or the market is more advanced, I would say it's a microservice middleware where you do the data transformation. But of course, then you need developers to set it up and also maintain it. So yeah, simple stuff, export it directly, have standard feeds. But there are cases where you can only configure so much in the UI, right? I mean, that is why we have programming languages. So yeah.
Harry, do you want to add anything or?
No.
I think what I would like to add is it also depends on the power dynamics within your industry, right? So if you're Nike, then basically you can publish whatever you want and publish it in any way you want, because your retailers will have to deal with it.
Adapt to it, exactly.
If you're Amazon, it's the other way around. They'll have to deliver the information, and you as supplier will have to deliver the information in a way that works for Amazon, because otherwise and they don't publish it. And I think this also goes into what Bart said about adding all the microservices or adding components in your headless architecture. But adding specific solutions that do this very well, or that take this logic and do it very well. Maybe not so much on the publishing side, but even there, right? So managing all those different data models that you need to map to, right? So Amazon changes their data model for this specific category that you're active in. You need to manage that. You need to keep that up to date. That's a pain in the butt. There's companies that specialize in keeping all that information up to date, all those mappings up to date. That's not something, even if you can do it in your own PIM, or if you can do it in your own middleware, can be painful. But you want to add some, maybe a specific solution to do that. If you're on the onboarding side, I know that was not part of the question, but the same is true, right? So if you're Amazon, you can dictate, but if you're a retailer and you're getting 20 data sources or 100 data sources from different either centralized solutions like a data pool and directly from wholesalers or manufacturers, you need to do something with that data as well. And that can be done maybe in PIM, that mapping can be done in PIM, but maybe you need to do some transformation, or maybe there's some data cleansing that you need to do, and then there's specific solutions that can help with that.
And one of the things that we didn't touch upon, which I see being used more and more, are low code or no code integration services like N8N or Zapier as a simple one. But that is also something we see a lot, where you don't have to build an integration, but you can configure it using N8N is a good example of a tool, N8N.io, to do some advertisement for random company. but it means that you can take the data feed, you can map it, and you can transform it, and you can send it to many different channels without having to develop something. So I think there's
yeah. How do you spell it?
Yeah.
How do you spell that?
N8N.io.
N8? Is the digit 8 or?
Yep. N for Norway, 8, Norway.io.
The number. Yeah.
Number.
Okay, cool.
So because then you kind of have, then you have the three answers. Some things should just be built in. You can build things in code if you have the team for that, or you use these integration platforms that serve as the glue. And you can do it without being a developer. That's the benefit of it.
Cool stuff. It is.
Cool. I'm not a developer. I'll play around with it.
Yeah, and then it's pretty cool.
It's a bridge to the final topic I would like to discuss, which is sort of the impact of AI, right? I think Bart mentioned a ChatGPT integration into PIM. That's sort of a direct integration. Yep. I would love to have API artificial intelligence that maps all my APIs for me. How do you see this whole explosion of generative AI impact the set of tooling that we just discussed, right? So PIM and commerce, maybe. Start off with you, Bart. Yeah.
Sure. I mean, I think it's brilliant, and it's, I think, the perfect example of where a composable or headless architecture, whatever we should call it, makes sense, because there's no way we will build an AI tool like Chat or like OpenAI. They do that, but we have our data in an API, and we can interact together. So we can send data there, send a prompt, say, can you recognize, I took an image of a part, can you recognize it? Yes, you recognize it. It's this part, you need this spare part, so that you can have a different types of shopping experience or editorial experience for classification or simple translation or rewriting stuff in a different tone, things like this, which, I mean, you can easily do today. And I think this is just another tool set, and it fits perfectly with the API economy that we live in now, right? Because it's so easy to plug in.
Cool. All right. Vikram, do you want to add?
Yeah, I fully agree with Bart. This is completely, I think it is really helpful indeed. I've started using it myself for a lot of snippets. I don't remember, ever since I started using it, I don't remember I've gone to Stack Overflow for last few months now. I've stopped search altogether. I just go in there, and whatever the challenge is, it just solves. And bringing it to the PIM concept, I think it's just going to make a huge difference in terms of giving you first draft of the product description indeed. And we're already working on bringing this feature as part of our PIM as well. So that your base first draft of your product content is there, somebody can moderate, review, and then publish it as well. So that effort is going to go down. And I think gradually it'll become a standard, just like you have Office, Word document, Excel, Google Sheets, or whatever. It'll become just another productivity tool which everybody would be using.
Co-pilots. Harry?
Yeah, I think that AI will not go away. ChatGPT will not go away. But it is I think the biggest challenge for a lot of people is how to use it. So do proper prompt engineering. That's not something you just learn overnight. You need to think about it, because if you do the wrong prompting, you get not the data or not the script or the result that you would like to use. I think that is something that we need to keep in mind.
Yeah. I mean, I think all of us are ChatGPT users, right? Or Claude users, or whatever custom LLM you guys are using, large language model. But I do see like this first phase where everyone is using it in the chat interface, right? So that is sort of how we are using it right now. You're not using Google, you're not using Stack Overflow, but you're using ChatGPT, or maybe a copywriter is using it to write copy on a product in ChatGPT. I think the next phase is already where Crystallize is, where it is integrated in the tooling. I think sort of a part two of that next phase is that it's dedicated specific AIs or large language models or generative AI models for specific subtasks, right? So for attributes, you have model A and integration A. For translation, you have already model B. For creating background images, you have model C. Will we have a future where PIMs are built from the ground up around artificial intelligence, or will it always be sort of a plug-in thing?
I'm sure you will have that. Somebody will make that.
Someone will make it.
But I think the essence of PIM is really structured data, right? So this is different than what you're doing with AI. So I think you need a structured model, you need the semantics, and on top of that, you can do automation for further enhancement or taxonomies, or as simple as looking up a product. How do you find a product that matches this product? For example, if you have 100,000 vehicle parts. So I think it's a beautiful layer of added value of automation, making things simpler for us. It will change the way we shop, I'm sure, where you will get assisted shopping in terms of especially for technical parts. It could be B2B, B2C. If you're looking for a spare part, you need it to be compatible with what you're looking for, and to find the right part, for example, quicker. Brilliant for having somebody else doing the work, automatically looking up all the products, right? So I think it's a perfect layer on top of a structured product information.
Yeah, in a way, like, and isn't it maybe also the other way around, that it sort of kills the fun of shopping, right? So if you're a copywriter, yes, right, it sucks to know all the 600 different spare parts of this specific engine, right? And you have to connect them all together. Maybe you derive some sort of status from it, from knowing it, or being the all-knowing expert on engine replacement parts. But it is still work, right? When I'm looking from the customer journey perspective, like, we're all men here, so that's maybe weird to say, but like, I used to work in home and living, where part of the shopping journey was clicking and being inspired and not immediately finding what you want to find, right? So in a way, ChatGPT will not help you find. You don't want ChatGPT to find you. And I must say, when I'm diving into a topic like incredibly nerdy but mechanical keyboards, like, I also want to understand how it all sort of clicks together, and what the differences are, instead of just clicking on a button, getting the right product that I wanted, or maybe that I think I wanted, and getting it delivered to my door. Yes, that is efficient for the things that I don't know, for the new diapers that fit my baby, my baby boy of 2 years old, but still, but maybe not finding the right keyboard for me, or the right dining table, because I want to be inspired and select from 600 different models.
Two totally different shopping experiences, right? One is,
diapers and
you enjoy the hunt. And how many YouTube videos of all the keyboards and all the specs and reviews have you seen before you make a purchase? And then you end up buying the most expensive one anyway. So the ChatGPT could have told you that immediately. But I think
Just look at the price tag.
Yeah. So, but it's inspirational shopping, right? Like I showed with Swift, that beautiful living room. I want to live in that. These are the products that I buy, rather than browsing. So I think it's, if you're, and I think especially for B2B or complex products, has a lot of value. But of course, if you're shopping for fashion or keyboards or guitars, I want to do all the browsing myself, exactly like you do.
Yeah.
So I don't think that's going away. That's window shopping online, right? So
yeah,
it's fun. This has also been fun.
Window shopping. Yeah, absolutely. Sorry, I was just saying, window shopping is a lot of fun, especially when you're browsing products one by one. I mean, today, I don't know if you remember anybody else's phone number except your wife, but a few years ago, you would probably remember tons of phone numbers, but today you don't remember anybody's phone number. Everything is just fed into the phone book.
Cool. I have one more question from Marcus that I want to cover, since we still have time, and before I wrap up. So his question is based again on the output mapping, right? So that's an ongoing conversation. So his question is specifically, is it better for all clients to call PIM APIs, or the other way around?
I don't understand that question.
So pull rather than push, is that the question, or?
I would say so, yes. And it's also, right. So again, is it better for all clients to call PIM APIs, or the other way around? I can actually show it here. Right.
That's a good question. I don't know how to answer. Since we deliver PIM APIs, I would say yes, but no. Again, it depends on the case and the data where it's going, right? Because sometimes, you have the classical like nightly exports to these beautiful files, right? I don't think that is going away, because it serves a purpose, and it's async and decoupled, right? So it serves also performance and uptime concerns. But in other cases where you need to have real-time information, for example, you want product information, but you also want to know if it actually is in stock in the store that is closest to the client. Then you need to be pulling real-time APIs, because then you need the data to be accurate. So I guess it depends on the use case, and I would not say that every time that pulling a real-time API is the right architecture, for sure. I mean, maybe use the API to generate PDF catalogs or things like this. That's typical, batch processing and things that are living for a certain amount of time. Whereas the in-stock or availability of a service for the car, if it's available, you need to know it in real time, right? So those are two different concerns. And APIs are brilliant for real time and accurate data, whereas batch processing and call it traditional push data is brilliant for larger quantities of data and data that maybe can live for a longer period of time.
Vikram, you wanted to add something?
Add on question. Yeah, I completely agree to that. Typically your clients shouldn't be calling your PIM APIs. Of course, it will depend upon certain scenarios. And for example, let's say you are getting a lot of suppliers to integrate with your business, hypothetically, and then your suppliers need access to your PIM data, because suppliers are going to provide product data information to you. So in that case, they would want to have access so that they can publish that data to your PIM APIs. And depending upon the volume, and you can define certain thresholds, certain amount of data goes into a night batch, and then certain amount of incremental data, which is changing through the day, they push it through the APIs to your PIM. And I think as part of that question itself, there is that, or PIM should be calling multiple client APIs to send info. I would say that is that is not a best practice. You can't really get your PIM to, call 10 or 20 different clients to send. PIM can potentially export a batch file, publish a file on a certain location, and then whosoever needs it, then they can pull it from there. Like Bart said, it's asynchronous, it does the job, and really well. It does the job really well. And it's worked throughout, and there's no dependency on anybody.
And ideally, if you do the files, do it incrementally so that you don't do the full batch. That is the worst scenario.
Delta, of course. Delta,
Lessons have been learned in that sense. Harry, do you want to add anything to the conversation?
No, that's one. I'm not a techie, but the stories that both gentlemen are saying, I think I would embrace that too.
Yeah, I would say it also depends on your workflow, right? So and on the position that you have. So as a marketplace, it is usually more the vendor managing their own product information, right? So it's your sources pushing data into your PIM, and if you're more of a boutique retailer and you want to control that customer experience until the sort of final dots and all the images specifically, then you're pulling data usually. But okay, cool. Do you guys have anything to add? Would you like to do you have any final closing thoughts? Otherwise, I would say we have been here for quite some time. It has already been almost 2 hours now. I would like to thank the audience, right, for staying with us for this long period. We will be publishing the video, both of the full sort of recording of all the different roundtables, all the different lighting demos and the roundtable. We'll also cut them up. So if you just want to look at Harry or just want to look at Vikram, that's also something you can do, or share those recordings with colleagues. I will follow up with all of you with that recording and also with a special promo offer for all of the vendors that were here today, from free demos to discounts, and you'll find that in your inbox. And I would also like to thank all the speakers for joining us and showing their tools, having a peek in the kitchen, and showing how the sausage is made, but also showing how that evolution went, and sharing how their own vision sort of intertwines with the growing to multiple headless solutions back to one suite, and maybe we're again back to different microservices, back to maybe one suite to rule them all. We'll see how that development continues in the coming 10 years. So we'll be back in 3 years, see where we are right then, see how AI has impacted this whole world. But until that time, I want to wish you all a good evening, or depending on where you are. But for me, it will be a good evening. And I would say see you soon on our next event. So thank you all, and see you next time.
Thank you.